Deke's dying moments, extended moonstay, and Aleida's future. We're talking it all next.
I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our after show for All Mankind. We are talking episode 10, A City Upon a Hill. You guys, it's the final episode. This is it. This is it for season 1, and we get to break it down today. Amazing, amazing. We are talking all things Ellen and Deke. There's a lot to unpack there. We are also talking about Ed actually kind of wanting to stay on the moon and everything that he goes through with the Russian. And of course, we're talking about Aleida's future because her future is rocked and split wide open. So I'm so excited to get into it. Overall thoughts of this episode, every character was kind of tied up in a nice, neat little bow. Not necessarily that there aren't any unanswered questions, because there are a lot of questions that I still have, but every character was addressed, and I feel like we can anticipate something further from every character, except for the ones that have passed. Sorry. Of course, I want to talk about Ellen and Deke because they had an amazing time together. They were lost in space, and last episode we were kind of talking that we weren't sure if they were alive or not, but they are alive. However, Deke has been seriously injured, and Harry Lou was the other guy that was in space with them, and he was eaten up by the flames. So his death was horrid. But anyway, they have this really big heart-to-heart moment where they are trying to make it back completely out of fuel. And I really want to talk about Deke's reaction to Ellen opening up to him. Now, you would think, when two people are faced with death, because they're both kind of wondering if this is it for them. I mean, they're in deep space almost, and it's bound to happen that they're going to run out of oxygen and, what's left after that. So, I don't know if a rescue is going to come at that time. And so they're kind of sharing their last moments with each other. And you would think that a person who is facing death would have more of an understanding, reception of what the other person is sharing with them, who's also thinking about death, maybe a little more hopeful because Ellen was younger. But Deke comes from an older generation, and so I feel like he kind of faces things head on in his mind. So when Ellen admits that she is actually in love with Pam, that her marriage with Larry was kind of a fake, I didn't expect Deke to react that way. Now, I knew that he would disagree with it, obviously, but I didn't, he pulled away from her as if she was like a disgusting alien, and that's what was super hurtful because she really opened up. And I didn't expect that. I honestly didn't expect that. And I thought that maybe, maybe he would, take his moment to deal with it and then come back and be like, you know what, that's your life. I'm still proud of where you've come because he trained her. But that just, it wasn't the case. And so I'm proud of Ellen for coming clean. I think it was the moment to do it. If you're going to be honest at the end of your life, as your life flashes forward, that would be it. And also because I feel like she's facing some kind of inner demons with the fact that she married Larry under these false pretenses and is honestly going to spend the rest of her life regretting the fact that she's not spending the rest of her life with the woman that she loves, but instead is living this lie. However, she's on the moon. So it's a toss-up. I know we've talked about that before and that what she's sacrificing as opposed to where her heart is at. But she has the love of Pam, who is honestly gut-wrenched because at the very end, she says, is there anything that you want to say, being on the moon? And Ellen says, I just want you to know that I love you very much and I miss you and I'm going to come home to you. And she said Larry. Of course, we all know it's to Pam. And Pam is in the room with everybody listening to this, and she knows that's for her, but it's not made clear. And that's what's gut-wrenching. So it's, she's almost kind of, I want to say, stuck in her own hell, kind of. And I feel like the reaction from Deke really, drove that home for her because it wasn't the reaction that I was hoping for. So it really sucks that that's how he treated it. But, of course, as he is dying, because he is bleeding internally, and so his time is cut short, I think he pauses and in his own really stubborn, disgruntled way, he turns to her and basically says, don't tell anybody don't tell anybody what you told me. I think that you can still go a lot of places. And I think that's him looking at her from the standpoint of when he was training her, when he didn't know all of this. But just saying, you can go so far, but don't tell anybody what you told me. He says, there's too many people in the world and like me, and it's all that they'll see. And I think that was very good advice. It's unfortunate advice, but in the time that they are in, I think that's very good advice. And of course, her secret died with Deke. So Deke has passed. There is more death in space, and it sucks that he didn't make it. Now, one thing that I really liked that Ellen said is they asked her in her press conference when she was on the moon, when she was alone on the moon, is it worth it? And she said, every one of us knew the risks before we joined. I'm paraphrasing here. We all signed up. It's the price we pay to push forward, pushing ourselves to the limits of what's possible. Sacrifice is a part of every journey, taking on these challenges against great odds, and that's what makes us human. We chose to go to the moon because it was hard. So yes, it is worth it. No matter how hard it is now, when we look to the future, we see that things can get better. And that, I feel like that moment when she said all of that, her speech, it hit so close to home. And I think it even reverberated beyond just the TV show. So many people are mad at this show, and so many people have horrible things to say. And Tara, she talks about men be raging, because that is actually what is happening online. And I even think that this speaks to that as well, because there's so many things that could be different, and people are doing different things because it's hard, and it's pushing yourself to the limit of what is possible. And so I just thought that was an extremely encouraging note, even despite all of the hardships that she had faced in only her first time going to the moon. She still has this very positive outlook that things can get better. And so I think that's definitely something that can go beyond the show itself. So I really, truly appreciated that. And I just want to say that if you guys have any thoughts or opinions that you want to tell us, keep the conversation going in the chat below, and let us know, because we do talk back. And if you happen to enjoy any other TV show, we do have so many shows here at AfterBuzz TV that you can come and look at and become a part of, and really experience the joy that we experience when we watch and we talk about these shows. So please leave a comment, hit the like button, check us out on iTunes, and let us know what you think, because we like to keep the conversation going here at AfterBuzz TV. Now, I really want to talk about Ed. Ed and this Russian, okay? This guy, first of all, Tara and I thought that he was dead. Okay, because the last thing that you see is Ed turns off the oxygen and he's dying. He's dying, okay? But it turns out he's not dead. Ed basically made him pass out, took him back in, and tied him to a chair. Now, I thought he was going to torture him, because, Ed's kind of off his rocker now completely. He's completely lost it. And I don't know what he was going to do, if he was going to torture him, if he was going to just, what kind of information was he going to get from him? I don't even think he knew. I think he was just pissed and took it out on the Russian, who she called Ivan. Now, of course, that's not his name. Ivan is not his name, but he took him in and didn't really torture him. Ivan, the Russian, I don't know what to tell. His name is Mikhail, okay, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Mikhail. So Mikhail even goes so far as to try to relate to Ed on a family standpoint. Now, Ed is like steel. I really don't think too many things get to him as far as, trying to plead for your life when you're on the opposing team. Because he's been faced with this before, I'm sure, many times, and he kind of turns a blind eye to it. And so I think that's what Mikhail was trying to do, talking about his daughter and all that kind of stuff, and even admits that they actually have been listening in to his conversations and stuff like that. So he knows all about his son. How intrusive. There's somebody that you are up against, the entire country is up against, really, coming to you and talking about your personal life when you have never met them before. That would drive me crazy right there. So no wonder why he got punched, you know? I mean, I would have to say I would go so far as to do the same thing, but I really don't think that Ed had any kind of plan beyond wanting him to just suffer in some way. I don't think that Ed would be capable of killing him. I mean, he would in self-defense because he has before, obviously, but you know, I don't think that he would go that far. So it's a really interesting conversation that they have until they kind of come together when they see the Morse code with lights, because Ed has completely turned off all communications, and he has, you know, separated and isolated himself from everybody that he's known. I mean, he's already isolated because he's by himself up there, but he doesn't talk to Gordo. He doesn't talk to Danielle. Like, he has cut off everybody. Rightfully so. I mean, I understand why he would as well, but now they need his help. And so they finally get to him. Now, of course, this kind of brings them together because the Russian actually notices that the lights are in Morse code and that he needs to help all of this stuff. So, you know, that brings them together. And I think it brings Ed back to reality because he's in this weird, like, fantasy phase where he's just mad and in mourning and he's by himself and he's been on the moon for so long. And so he's in this weird mental state that he just can't snap out of. And how could he? I mean, he obviously can't do it by himself because he's tried and failed many times until somebody actually comes there. And he doesn't even know if somebody's coming. I think he's just kind of given up hope at this point. So to have the Russian guy there, Mikhail, to have him there and to kind of talk to him about nothing, really not a lot of things, that it forces him to come back in contact, and it redirects his mind to save somebody else, which is what Ed likes to do. He likes to be this, you know, I'm on task. What's my next task? This keeps him focused and his life moving, and his life just completely stopped. So this new task, I think, kind of brought him back to reality and was a saving grace from pulling him out of this, you know, horrible place that he was in that was really a detriment to his soul, really. And so, I like the fact that they kind of had this camaraderie. And of course, you know, and then he realizes, what am I going to do? What am I going to do with this Russian? Like, what is his plan? If he kills him and he puts him out on them, I mean, it's just because that would be declaring war. He would spend the rest of his life in jail, you know, or they would cover it up. But I really don't think that Ed would be able to face himself if that's what really happened. So it's a relief that, you know, the Russian is alive, and then he lets him go, and they have this camaraderie. Now, that doesn't mean that the Russian isn't going to say anything. I don't know. I feel like the way the Russian was looking at his base, I feel like it's not something that's going to be let go. I feel like this is one of those ugly things that's going to pop up in season 2, and it's just kind of going to blow everything out of the water. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's really something that's going to be let go. That's going to be like a camaraderie. That's what stays on the moon. You know, what happens on the moon stays on the moon, which I don't think is going to happen. But for this sake right now, for all the feel goods, it happened. And we're just going to believe right now that the Russian is just going to forget everything. So we'll see if that actually happens. But he does end up saving Ellen and Deke. And that was an extremely suspenseful time. But in that moment, of course, you know, we find out that Deke has passed. So moving on, I really want to talk about Aleida because I wasn't able to talk about her the last episode, which she did have a lot going on. So real quick, this girl has had to face so much adversity, you know, from coming to America. Now her father is being deported, and she lies to her father about living with Margot. Margot, I feel like, could totally take her in. I know it would be an extreme responsibility on Margot's part because she basically only lives for her job. Like, her job is her baby. And I totally understand that. I get that. But I feel like this relationship between Margot and Aleida could be a really great point for Margot to grow exponentially because she we see her finally becoming kind of a team player. Last time we said she wasn't really a team player because she made that bad call about Molly. This time, she really stood up for her team and really discovered all the possibilities to kind of take in everybody as opposed to just looking at the facts. So I really like the fact that she's stepping up to be a team player, to be one of them. But in doing that, I really think that could include Aleida. And Aleida really needs her at this point because she is completely alone. Like, her house is gone. Well, it's still there, but the people in her house are gone. And I would only assume that these people are looking for her. So she has been accepted into this college, and now this is kind of the only place that she has left to go. Life situations have kind of forced her to make the decision to go to school. I think that's obviously what she should have done in the first place anyway, but she was getting so comfortable with this American lifestyle, and, kind of being rebellious to her father, who had taken on all of the sacrifice to get them here. And she wasn't seeing that. Hello, welcome to every teenager in the world. So I really think that, she's trying to make her father not worry. She's trying to grow up and take care of things by herself. And I really hope that includes Margot, more so than just having these little sessions, because now she is like completely and utterly alone. And I wonder what that will bring for season 2. Obviously, I think she's going to play an extremely large part in this space race and continuing this name of having women in space and creating new jobs for them and all of that. But it's just, it's very compelling to me that her journey throughout all of this. So I really hope that Margot takes her in, because I feel like that would be a really great thing for the both of them, and it would be a beautiful relationship. And but I don't know if that's something that Margot could get in trouble for. I'm not quite sure. Let me know what you guys think. If that's like a good step for Margot, if her job would be in jeopardy if she did. That I am not sure. So I would love to know your thoughts on that. I really want to touch on Karen very quickly, because she's searching so hard for herself, and I think she is just trying all these different things. And we see at the very end where Ed is back. Ed didn't want to come home, first of all, because that meant that he had to face everything that was home. As far as Shane, his wife lying to him, he has to face Gordo, he has to face Danielle, all of these things that he was able to escape from, not mentally, but physically escape from, because he's literally on the moon. He has to go back to. So that I can only imagine what that's like for him. But now he's facing his wife, Karen, who has come to this new realization that she is a different person outside of her marriage and outside of being a mom. And with that, I think she has this freedom to not fit in a box and to express emotion and to express sexuality and, to be more like Wayne and Molly. And so, we see at the end, we see Ed and Karen go into Shane's room, and that's him facing his reality and her facing this reality. I wish it's something that they could have done together, because they seem to do everything apart, except for, they're going through life together, side by side, but emotionally they're not. And so she has already spent all of this time dealing with Shane's death by herself and doing all of this by herself, coming to this realization that this is not the person that she wants to be. And I feel like that Ed still has to come to that. I don't think Ed knows who he is either. And so this is going to be a really interesting dynamic in their relationship as we see them evolve from these rules and regulations and, everything that they were supposed to be in this tiny box to now out and expressing themselves freely. And I really hope that we get to see that, because I love their relationship. I really do. I like their relationship because it's good. I feel like it's a good relationship. So it's something that I really want to see blossom into an even better relationship and take down all of these emotional barriers and all of that. And we also see, Tracy and Gordo. They are well. They are very well. And I think I was absolutely right in saying that this what happened in space and them working together brought them together, and now they're on the same page. So I really hope we get to see that their relationship is saved, and that they can actually walk through life together, free as well. And I loved it. I feel like all the characters were tied up, except for the ones that are past. And of course, we had to lose some people. Deke died doing what he loved. He was on the moon, or excuse me, well, he was close to the moon. So, I can't wait for season 2. I don't know where they're gonna go with this. So predictions, I don't know. I have no idea where they're gonna go with this, because I was so surprised at the end of where they were taking this entire story. So I am so excited to see what the writers have next, and I can't wait for season 2 to come out, and we will be here, Tara and I, for season 2, ready to talk about it, ready to take it on. Thank you so much for joining us here at AfterBuzz TV. We covered all of the seasons, and all the episodes, and we are done. Just remember, you can find me, Tatiana Marisa, at Tatiana Marisa on all social media platforms. And I can't wait to see you guys again for season 2. Until then, I'll catch you next time.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.